Hey, how's it going, guys? Just getting the live stream set up here. All right, I think we are actually live now. How you guys doing? Or are you just going to be lurkers today?
I'm kind of sick, man. I've been sick for like a week and a half, so I'll just be lurking, bro.
You can't seem to catch a break.
Nah, man. Story of my whole year, man. Can't catch a break this whole year or last year.
Oh man. Jeez. Well, hopefully you get a quick recovery. And we'll get back into it. Market seems to be picking up, so that's a good thing. Let's see here. I think we're up on YouTube and Facebook now. Ken, are you able to? Ken's trying to join the Zoom call, but appears to be having some audio issues. So, well, things seem to be improving quite a bit. Ended up closing on 2 deals last week, one in Spanaway, one in Bremerton. Had quite a bit of drama on the Bremerton deal. Didn't know if that one was actually gonna close or not.
Yeah, I hear that guy's drama, the owner.
Yeah, you knew about that?
No, I just when I passed on to somebody, he told me he's been working that for a while before you got a hold of it.
Oh, okay.
Drama.
Yeah, there was a bit of drama. This is drama. It was actually on the buyer's side, though, not on the seller's side.
Huh?
So the seller was actually pretty low maintenance and cooperative on it. We were just having quite a bit of issues figuring out if the buyer was even going to close on this deal. So
Do you still get that West Seattle spot?
the West Seattle one. Yeah, we got what's that?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say we got an offer in on it, and supposedly somebody else going to see it, but not fully locked in yet at this point. So as of right now, it's still available.
I've been super sick, man, so I haven't really done anything. Let me go do that now. I'll send to my one buyer, Mr. $100 million.
Yeah, if you got a guy with $100 million, like send him some deals.
Did you email me that info?
Yeah, you want me to just send it to you on?
No, you sent. That's what it was. You sent an investor list. That's what it was.
What's that?
Huh?
What was that?
I said no. You sent me to an investor list.
I sent you to Investor Lift?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh yeah, because that's where the deals. That's where we just put all the info for the deal. Do you need? So you need it without the pricing info on it?
Yeah, man. I mean, if we're not gonna split it, then I gotta, I gotta put my juice on top, and I can't put my juice on top if they're going to investor lift.
Yeah, so I can get you the Google Drive. So yeah, for any like agents and other wholesalers that we work with, yeah, if there's not enough room on it to cut you in, we can give you the link to the Google Drive pics, so you can send it to the buyers without all the marketing materials on it. So, all right, Ken, were you able to make it?
Yeah, sorry.
There you go.
It took me a while to figure out the whole audio issues.
There you go. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Well, nice to meet you last week at Julie's call. So
Yeah.
yeah, just a quick background myself. I started as an investor back in 2019. Had a tech job, at the time. Invested a few years, mostly in multifamilies in PS and KISAP. And then time fast forward to this year, decided to take a leap into full-time real estate. So I got my agent's license, lender's license. So primarily going to be building my agent business. But just, with the investor mindset, right, I definitely want to, dive into the off-market world as well. So, definitely want to pick your brain around, Julia and I talk a bit about, hey, getting the license is great, working with some retail buyers is great, but I want to build that expertise on, working with investors, be able to find off-market deals, collaborate with wholesalers as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's that part where, many people have different opinions of like, okay, now that you have a license, can you do wholesaling or not? I think people have variety of different viewpoints, and no one ever clearly explain the gotchas. I think lots of people know there's some gotchas, some legal stuff you have to navigate. So I think that's the part where I just want to get your thoughts. Hey, as an agent, if I source the off-market deal myself or collaborate with another wholesaler to sell something to my clients, how would that work typically? That's one part. And B, if I were to source my own deals with a license, right? How would I navigate that?
Yeah. So you can absolutely still wholesale and have a real estate license. So I'm in so Jamil Damji's mentorship program, and actually been down to Keegley, which is their wholesaling company down in Phoenix, and spent a weekend with Jamil and just seeing how their whole operations run. And they actually require everybody that does their acquisitions to have a license. So not only is it like not a bad thing, but they actually encourage it. So really what you have to watch out for is you have to disclose, though, whoever you're talking to, whatever seller you're talking to, that you're licensed, right? Now, if your intent is to wholesale the property or to potentially buy the property off market and then assign it, you basically have to be very clear with the seller that you're not representing them on the transaction, right? So basically, you could say something like, hey, I'm licensed, but I'm not, if you say you're calling a seller for the first time, I'm not contacting you about, getting a listing for your property. I'm actually, an investor as well. I'm looking to buy properties for myself. So if you get that disclaimer out of the way first, you can get into the conversation as you're an investor looking for, see if they're interested in selling their property. So you can go into this wearing two hats. So this is the cool thing. So do you do retail like listings as well, or are you just using your license for investment purposes?
Both. But
okay.
I do have the intention to build my retail, well, the on-market side of things, for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so the agents that I talk to, that do retail stuff, and these agents actually only do retail stuff, and so I try to help educate them in that, you can go into listing appointments wearing two different hats. And this is like the cool thing about being an agent and wholesaling is that you can say, like, especially if it's a distressed situation where they are either the house is in, needs work, or they're in a financial hardship where they need money quickly. So the two hats you can go into are like, hey, we could list the property, it'd probably take a bit longer for you to get paid. We got, financing contingencies potentially. And then, getting the property ready to put on the market. So potentially we're able to get this thing, locked up with a buyer in 3 or 4 weeks, you might get paid in 60 days. With that method, you're going to get the highest price, right? On the market, there's going to be a lot of people looking at it, but it's going to take a bit longer to do, right? The other option is to go with a cash offer, right? Very few contingencies with that offer, and you're going to potentially get paid in 2 to 3 weeks, right? And then you'll be done with the property at that point. The trade-off is that the price isn't going to be as high. So like 95% of the people price is their most important consideration, right? Just want the highest price. 5% of the people, maybe they just want a distressed property to be gone, and price is kind of secondary to them. Time and convenience is the bigger. And I talk to a lot of agents, then they say, oh, well, I always list my properties because price is always, I'm always want to get the best price for my clients. And, I've also talked to a small handful of agents who will get a referral to we got an agent that we're working with right now. She inherited this property. Her mom was a hoarder, and she just doesn't want anything to do with this property. Just wants this thing gone as soon as possible. So, so there's kind of two sides to that argument. It's like, well, price isn't necessarily always in the best interest of the client. Sometimes it's speed of transaction and ease of transaction, and so I always tell them to kind of keep that in mind when you're talking to these people, because if you're there to try to solve a problem for them, and you're not doing them a service if you put this property on the market and you're trying to get the highest price for them, and it's going to take them months, and they just want to get rid of this thing as soon as possible, right? So so yeah, that's kind of the unique way you can go in as an agent and a wholesaler, and your pitch, and you let the seller decide, which one seems more appealing to them.
Got it. So from your perspective, do you see a difference between coming in as the investor / wholesaler, locking the contract and the wholesaler to someone else, versus essentially doing a unlisted sale for the seller, right? Like to me, at least on paper, it looks very similar to me. Like, do you see any material difference? Just from your opinion, like, are they the same, not the same? What are the caveats?
So you're talking about like a commission, like if as far as like how you get paid, like what the commission would look like versus what an assignment fee would look like. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the potential for assignment fees, large assignment fees, you're gonna see the potential for a larger assignment fee than you would a commission, right? So commission, you're gonna, I don't know what, 2 or 3%. And I guess it depends on what type of properties you're listing, right? So if it's $1 million property, you're getting paid 30 grand minus whatever your average takes out, right? That might be equivalent to an assignment fee, like 20, 30,000 is probably like an average fee. But then we've also had cases, our largest assignment fee on a single family house deal that we've done is 100,000. So quite a bit higher.
Got it. But so operationally, so let's say, if I were coming with a seller that, this is not a wholesaling situation, right? Maybe the seller, are still in a distressed condition. He just want to upload it, doesn't want to put it on market. I mean, there could be an option where I could find a buyer for this property, and they just make a unlisted sale essentially. So not using the wholesaling contract, just the standard the MLS. I could put a PSA together, match the buyer, match the seller, and just go for it, right? So operationally, do you see that? Like, how does that different from going with the wholesaling way, tying up the contract and essentially wholesale the contract to someone else?
Right. So, I mean, yeah, so you could totally do it one of two ways. I've worked with agents who have found an off-market deal, and they will represent the seller. They'll put the PSA together, and then I am the one that actually gets it under contract, and I'll
Mhm.
right? So I think it just depends on the deal. So if you look at the deal and you say, okay, this seller they want, say, 200,000 for this property.
Mhm.
A cash buyer would pay 300,000 for the
Mhm.
property, right? I would think you would rather wholesale that deal and get the assignment for 100K rather than a $6,000 commission, right?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. So you could do it kind of on a case by case basis. Say, okay, well, maybe that person wanted, say, 275,
Mhm.
right? And that might be a harder sell to a cash buyer. So you could say, okay, you know what? I'm going to represent the seller on this. I'll bring like someone like me, like a wholesaler on board. I'll get it under contract and I'll do the work to find, a buyer at 300 and then you get the commission, right? For the seller. So there's a bunch of different ways you can kind of dice it up, and you can kind of take it on a case by case, depending on what the seller's wanting to get out of it and what you might be able to sell it to a cash buyer for.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah, because I love that the slice and dice, because different combinations of strategy for different scenario for sure. Because I think before I got my license, I've been thinking about, okay, I could buy a deal from a wholesaler, right? But now that I've been an agent, I feel like, okay, now what would be the best way to collaborate? Sometimes the wholesaler could bring me deals. I may not want it, but I know, if it's my client's buy box, right? So in that case, like sometimes I just don't know how to navigate. Okay, I'm technically representing my client, connecting to this wholesale deal. How would I essentially charge my client for doing that, right? Because I'm not going to charge him the full commission, because I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know how that would work in this situation.
Yeah. So if it were me, if I were licensed in that case, and let's say I had some investors that I was working with, and I crossed a deal that fit their buy box, and I knew I knew they would take it if the price would work for them, right? So I basically find out, okay, like I got this deal, what would they be willing to pay for it? If it's more than what I would make on a commission, I would just totally get that property under contract myself. I would assign it to them. If the seller is willing to pay a commission, and I think that the commission would be higher than the assignment fee, or it might not fit the buy box for my buyers, and I might have to take a bit longer to find another buyer. I don't necessarily want to do that work. Then I would represent the seller on that deal and have an end buyer get it under contract then, So yeah, if I were you and you had buyers that you knew exactly what their buy box was, and that's like you're out there targeting those types of properties. So if you get something locked up, if you something that matches their buy box that they're going to buy it, I would just wholesale it to them. So I'd just get it under contract myself and then turn around and assign it to them for whatever price they pay on it. Yeah.
Got it. Makes sense.
About the commissions in there. So you can tell the seller, hey, like you don't need to worry about paying any commissions. And even like you could say that, the buyer's going to be willing to pay the closing costs even on it as well, if the price makes sense. So it can kind of sweeten the deal for the seller if they if whatever number that you give to them as the offer price is what they're actually gonna walk away with.
Got it. Yeah, I love that. It feels like now I have more just in my toolbox for different situations. That makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really awesome that you're licensed, and I always love talking to agents that actually know stuff beyond just the retail side of things, because then they can go into these appointments with a whole nother mindset about what can potentially be done to help this seller out.
Yeah, because I just ran into that scenario yesterday. I was actually on an appointment. Somebody responded to my direct mail, so I went there. the whole property was not like totally not in a distressed condition. It's actually, you know, pretty decent and all that. You know, they could even just put it in the market. But it, you know, the only thing is just they hoarder, so they have a whole bunch of stuff there. So they are just, you know, trying to see what the property could be worth, right? So I came in, you know, do just look around everything, you know, and I kind of, you know, do the transparent talk, right? Hey, like you could sell it to me, cash offer. The downside is that it's going to be a price with a discount, right? But looking at your property, you're probably not like at that level of urgency and distress. You know, so if, you know, interested in listing the property, you know, we could go after that route as well. So I'm actually going back, have a follow-up appointment on Friday, just say to present them options, right? Kind of to your point, like it's like kind of a spectrum of like hassle free versus higher price. And then you could either do cash offer, you could offer listed, or you could even do something in the middle, like, you know, we could trying to find a buyer for you and have them kind of, you know, deal with, you know, your holding situation, but not to a point you have to sell it in a deep discount. So kind of like showing that options. That's kind of my the strategy I'm thinking right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And the analogy I really like to use with agents and with sellers is, you know, selling a used car, right? Like, let's say you're buying a new car, right? And you know, most people like, so if you say price is the most important thing when you're getting rid of your old car, like the way you'd go about doing that is you put it like on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and you get a private party to come take a look at it, and you're going to go meet somebody, and maybe they show up, maybe they don't, but you're going to, you know, get the highest price you can for that. It's just going to take a bit longer, and it's going to take quite a bit more effort. But you could trade your car into the dealership.
Yep.
Just be done with it.
I love that analogy.
Very quickly, the dealership isn't going to pay you the highest price, but they're going to make it super easy for you to get rid of your car, right?
Yep.
So yeah, it's just is kind of like what's the, you know, the most important thing for so yeah. Like this, you know, you never know, like they might just, you know, want to be done depending on what's going on with their finances, and stuff needs to get cleaned out of that house, right?
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. But I think, you know, there's definitely a lot more to learn just on the wholesaling side of things, you know, because like that is this is probably something that I'm just starting out at, just, you know, navigating that, you know, the marketing and then actually going to the appointment. So but, you know, definitely if there's something that came up, are you open to, you know, because I think the first few times I may not be able to know just how to navigate the whole thing. I could, you know, if you open to that, I could even like bring that lead to you, and we can see if we can collaborate and see what we can you know, get something out of that deal.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So yeah, I'm working with quite a few agents who are kind of going into these appointments now with a whole different mindset. I'd be able to do. So I'm like, yeah, if you find something and you know they want to take a look at the cash offer, yeah, like absolutely, let's see what I could give you a number on what I think, you know, somebody might be willing to pay for it from a cash offer perspective, and work backwards to see where the offer would need to be at to the sellers, you know, and or if the sellers have a number in mind already. Yeah, we could talk about it and see if that's something that could work with a cash offer route.
Yeah. I could send that lead I have right now to you after the call, but I can give you a quick rundown what's going on there. So this is a lead in West Seattle, so kind of like the Greenwood area, so not Delridge, but it's like the west of Delridge. So it's like start getting away of the more ghetto area, and I could shoot you the address afterwards.
Okay.
So the front house is a 1920 or 1941 2-bed 1-bath 850 or 3-bed 1-bath 850 square feet tiny house. The owner actually built a dadu before the whole 2019 law, so they actually got something before that at the back. So it was newer one. It just finished. The construction was done last year. So it's a newer 2-bed, 2-bath. I think it's like 800 to 900 square feet. So with the situation, so I looked at the new dadu at the back, is that the seller is living in that right now. So they rented out the front house, dealing with some messy tenant situation right now. So this is the situation. I was actually had a hard time just trying to calm this property, because I think there's some newer dadus that people build, but I think the seller intend to sell it as a packet, right? So not trying to condoize it and trying to sell it separately. So there's some calms of the front house, the tiny house, other calms, but with the situation now, 2 houses, I just I have a hard time finding the right calms if they want to sell it off as one thing.
Yes, yeah, that's an interesting. So that's interesting, because I had a deal maybe it was 2 months ago. An agent brought to me. I don't think it was a hoarder house situation, but there was 2 houses on one lot that they had built the dadu fairly recently, but they hadn't like condoized it. So yeah, so the obvious like strategy there would be to sell it to an investor, and then they do the work to split those things, end up selling them separately. But I think this one was in a quite a bit better shape than the one you're describing. But yeah. So if that was to actually go on market, yeah, what would that even look like? I think it still has to go to an investor probably. And would it be financeable? That's the other thing.
Yeah, because the front house was tenant occupied, so I didn't have a chance to go in and look at what it looked like. But at least from the seller described, it's kind of in its original condition. I think they bought the place back in like 1982, so they haven't done much since then. So I would assume the front house, even if it's not in a totally distressed condition, it's going to be outdated for sure. And then now they have a non-paying tenant situation to deal with. So there is some problem.
The tenant isn't paying even right now.
Yep. So there are some problems. But the seller are not in a totally like urgent or distress, because they are still living in a much better condition that you at the back. So they're just dealing with some tenant headaches. So they are not like in a hurry to let's upload that like next day. So that's why I kind of back into my what I was mentioning earlier. I will be coming back on Friday, kind of to show them the spectrum of options they could have, right? If they don't want to deal with the tenants, there's option that we could give them a cash offer, right? Versus if they are willing to take a more hassle and do the work, making it ready to put in the market, then we will have to deal with the tenant situation. We have to clean up all the hoarding stuff to get it ready. So I'm going to be seeing like where their mind is on Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So with the tenant situation, definitely there'll have to be a significant discount if they don't want to deal with the tenants, especially right, because somebody is probably going to incur some pretty high legal expenses and the time to get those tenants out, especially if they're not cooperative, it could be, an investor is going to be, incurring some significant holding costs while they wait to get those tenants out of there. So definitely something to keep in mind. And then the other thing too is, has the seller tried cash for keys yet to get them out of there?
Not yet. They're one of those mom and pop, do it on their own kind of a landlord. So they're just going with the usual pattern of okay, tenants begging, we'll be paying like in a few weeks, and they just let it go. So not in a great situation in terms of that management.
Yeah, for sure. And it must be a little bit awkward if they're living on the same property.
Yep.
Yeah. How long have they not paid?
They are So not like in a month, not in months, because it's typically a late situation, like first of the month not paying, in a few weeks they catch up. So it's kind of on the on and off catch up situation.
Okay, so they're like behind, but they pay some and then
Yep.
still behind and
Yeah. So with this whole Seattle 9 and 10 the new laws and all that, it's gonna be much harder to get it proper. If they even want to go with eviction, I think it's gonna be a very tricky scenario.
Yeah, so I mean, we've definitely have sold deals where there's been problematic tenants in place, but I just know that those deals are